Good afternoon. I will be your guest host today. My name is Chirag Shah, and welcome to Collections for Comps. So, how many people here today are actually using Collections for Comps? Anybody? I think Collections for Comps are arguably one of my favorite ways to use Compass tools. Now, one thing that I always start out with is we always talk about how we work at a technology company. So the client experience has to mirror and match what a technology company is. So if you think about it, your competitors at other brokerages, are they showing up with a digitally interactive CMA like Collections? No, they're showing up with lots of paper. Now, paper's confusing. Paper is messy. Remember before you worked here, you'd be handing people stuff, you'd highlight things, and there's a time and a place for everything. Now, I want to go through the specific ways and an actual system that you can use Collections for Comps, a step-by-step method, and what you actually do in the process and when you should do it. I believe you want to lead with value, meaning all of this information is already available online. So the first myth that I want to dispel is people don't want to send this information in advance. Sometimes people don't want to send it at all, or they're just going to take my information and work with somebody else. Look, you have to lead with value. And those kinds of people that take information and work with somebody else generally make bad clients. There's no loyalty, there's no value in what you do, right? There's an ethical line, and it's a good way kind of to test the relationship. So first and foremost, when going through pricing of something that's your potentially, for most people, their most valuable asset, giving them time to digest information in advance is very helpful. Do clients think their property is generally worth a lot more than it is in most cases? Yes or no? Absolutely. Now, think about this, and I'll always go back to the med seat. Someone has a reason for moving, an expectation of what an agent should do, past disappointments that'll impact their present decisions, and concerns, right? Depends on what's going on in their life. Can they find a new home? Timing, it's different for everybody. But then when we go on our presentation, we spend so much time talking about our marketing and what we can do and the comps. And there's just so much information, and they're just thinking about those four things. So do you see where this could get fragmented in a 10, 15-minute market conversation? Why it's hard to get people to list at your price, where it could be combative. I talked about this earlier today. And if you think about this in medicine, there are two types of doctors. There are functional doctors that look to treat and figure out what the cause of something is. There are other types of doctors that will just give you medicine and symptoms. I'm more in the functional world of let's figure out the cause. So number one, you're going to want to prepare your comps in advance through Collections. So several active properties, 3 to 5 active properties, depending how much inventory there is, properties that are in contract and properties that are sold. There are 3 main numbers that you will want to highlight: days on market, list price to sales price, and ultimately what a home sold in the condition. You have not seen the condition of these people's houses. So this is a great opportunity to prepare somebody and frame the conversation. Framing the conversation is the context in which you put a conversation based on somebody's present belief system and values. So if you're able to highlight specific information in advance, one, I believe it's the right thing to do because it gives people time to digest information, as well as write down any specific questions they may have. Number 2, it shows you leading with value and as a real market expert. Number 3, it's technology. It's cool. It's sexy. It can be on an app. It could be on their desktop, and it's interactive. So are we all on the same page so far? So what do we actually do within the collection? So Martha, you raised your hand. You use this actively now. How do you use this currently?
I have to warn you, we've lost the internet like 4 times in the last 2 minutes. So So what I do for both buyers and sellers is I use it for sellers by creating a collection that's comparable to their home so they can see what's happening with the market when their property is getting ready to list and also when it is listed, so they can keep track of the properties that are going under contract and maybe get a feel for whether or not their property is overpriced. And it just helps them get a better feel for it rather than me telling them. That way they're seeing it and they're seeing it through their eyes.
Yeah, there's a difference between telling and understanding it through yourself, right?
Yeah.
There's one other person, who else currently uses collections for comps? Just unmute yourself and share. Leslie.
Leslie in DC. I do, depending. I mean, it really depends on the client, but I often do. So I share a collection with them, with the comps. Before I share it with them, I've already gone through and added comments, similarities, differences. Um, Now with sellers, I'm also sharing the buyer comp that was paid, to assist in that conversation. Um, and when I share it with them, in the invitation, I mean, we will have talked about it before that I'm going to share it, but I reiterate how I want them to use it, which is to, look at the comps and the features of the home and the location, et cetera. And we'll use that as a basis for our discussion of pricing on their house. And with buyers, for a discussion of pricing when making an offer.
Perfect. So if I were meeting Leslie, I would have had a conversation. I would have med-seed her on the phone, right? And I would have sent her an email with a link to the collection. It says, in advance of our meeting, I have prepared a report, an interactive report, which essentially you can look at properties that are active in your area, properties that have sold in your area, as well as properties that are active that are sold during contract. Additionally, I have put in notes with context and information. If you could take the time to review, it will be helpful in us having a conversation on how to position your home on the market so we can maximize your equity. You notice the word "so" we can position your home on the market to maximize your equity, a benefit to them, right? Always has to be in a benefit to them. So here are things that you're going to want to indicate. Days on market is such a great indicator on how the market's going. So you can highlight in the sold comps, like this many days on market, list price to sales price, parentheses, what sellers wanted versus what buyers are willing to pay, right? And ultimately what a home sold for, right? And then underneath that, I would start putting in comments, right? Agent only remarks are really great ways to add information that they can't find online. And then I would just put what I felt was most relevant. And I would do that for all three. Now, when I went to the contract properties, right? Then I would indicate the days on market and I would say, based on what was sold, the days have gone up, the days have gone down, which generally means this. And then I would put those same facts in. The active properties, I would highlight if these are newer and we don't know based on what other buyers have been willing to pay for homes. If it's under the average days on market and everything, I put that as well as the additional facts. Like you can put comments like, oh, not listed here is that this house has wetlands on it, or information that's an agent only, or something you might have known from previewing the property or knowing the broker, or just additional information that you might have come by. Right. So if you put all of this information in prior to meeting somebody, what does that say about you?
You do
Not,
your
what's that?
you do your homework.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Leslie's our seller. I send Leslie maybe an MLS link or something, but most cases nothing, because agents don't want to talk about price, avoid price till they have to. And then Martha sends, or Jen Holden in Annapolis, sends a collection, which has all of this information and a lot of information that you can't even find online. Going into the meeting, Leslie, who do you feel more confident with?
Yeah, the person who had more information and, whether they do or not, I'm going to think that they know a lot about my neighborhood and the kind of home that I have and so forth.
Yeah. So it also shows that you know how to utilize technology. Like collections is beautiful, it's visually appealing, it's interactive, right? And then if you want to be a ninja, I would say, look, I recorded a quick video here on how you can leave questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, right? And look, your home is unique as you. We don't know, we have not viewed your property yet. So these are just generalizations about the market based on data that's available. Feel free to ask any questions in the comment section for the property, or you can email them to me directly so I can make sure to have time to prepare the information that's most helpful for you. Again, the benefit to them. We have a couple comments here. I actually compile a CMA with extensive notes and adjustments prior to meeting the prospective sellers. I use collections as an update if they need time to prep their home and are not ready to launch in the market right away. Perfect. The CMA, you can do a lot, almost like an appraiser. It also shows that you've listened to the client's wishes when you note things down and you're looking for what they're wanting to avoid. Things you learn from the med scene and personal consultation. Yeah, 100%. But this is a very, very, very simple process to follow. And the more you do this, the easier it'll get. The more you do this, the more you're going to know the inventory. Because it'll force you to start looking at all these micro trends, macro trends. And as you're scrolling through all the pictures and everything and preparing this, when you go to their house and you're walking around and you're talking about positioning their home on the market, you'll have a lot more information. Like you can go to New York City and they're like, well, this apartment or this townhome sold for like a lot more. And you're like, yeah, but this one had a $250,000 deeded parking spot. Oh. Amy, you have a couple of questions or your comment. Is the internet bad? The Compass CMA is visually present. I used to spend 6 hours at BP broker's price opinion. CMAs now take me 45 minutes and collections 15. Okay, look, I would say the difference between when you use a CMA versus a collection, it depends how detailed you want to get and how much time you want to invest upfront on the lead, right? How qualified the lead? Is this a past client who you sold the house to that's going to sell again, right? But I find collections just such a visually simple way to start the conversation, right? So if you have a whole CMA with adjustments and stuff, like in I Love Lucy, it's like, Lucy, you have some explaining to do. You have a lot of explaining to do in the CMA, right? And when you do a CMA, it's your interpretation of the adjustments, right? So what could happen is, why is this like this? Why is this like that? And really, you're just trying to establish a baseline, a range, and kind of where in the range you want to position the home. Lori, you have a question. Marcia, you have a question.
I do. I don't have a raised hand. We had somebody make a presentation in our sales meeting today, and I want to share what she does because I think it ties in here and ramps it up another level. What she does is after she has her initial phone conversation with them, she'll call them back on FaceTime a day or two later, or before their face-to-face meeting, and say, hey, I'm really excited about it. Can you do me a favor? Do you mind walking me through the home so I just kind of have an idea of what it looks like? Because they don't always look like the previous listing pictures at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she's doing her comps, and then when she does go in there, she's not walking into the property cold.
Yeah.
It was pretty clever, and then it's just another way of engagement and already having them connecting with you. Her other comment is, I promise you other agents aren't doing it.
Bingo. I was going to say it's another degree of separation and being prepared. You will never lose in life by being over prepared. And I think there are two areas that I think agents are really going to win big in this new market we're getting into. One, and obviously we've been talking about this ad nauseum for well over years, client experience, right? And the experience your clients have and the way they experience you. And the other one is how well you know your market. Look, I work with agents in every market in every state across the country. In the last 5 years, I've worked with top agents in almost every market in the world. I know the markets, I know how they work and everything else. When I bought a house here in Westport, I used a broker. When I'm going to buy another house here in Westport, I'm going to use a broker, regardless of how smart I am, right? There's a certain value that a human being can add to this transaction that regardless of what you do, you're never going to be able to do yourself. And that saying, when you're in the picture, you can't see the frame, there is no truer words that are ever spoken. Because when you're doing this for yourself, you have an emotional attachment to the outcome. So you're only going to see the people, places, things, information that support your thesis. Where a broker's objectively going to look at it, right? So the collections with comps and the positioning pricing conversation, Katie, go hand in hand. Discuss how we're going to position your home on the market to maximize your equity. Every person wants to know how to do that, right? So look, I'm going to go back to this, and this might not have been what you expected, but this is where all the money is. Who wants to make more money? I hope everyone raises their hand, right? If you don't know how to explain, thank you. If you don't know how to explain things to people so they make sense and talk about what you do in a way that it's a benefit to other people, there's not a value in paying you for this information. The challenge, the number one challenge at Compass is the same thing that you love most about Compass. You know what that is, Sophie Langhorn? Is that you're the customer of Compass. So all the product marketing is done to you. And so when I hear for the last 5 years, agents pitches, they're pitching the clients in the same way the company sells you on the tools.
What do you mean by that?
What do I mean is people use all of these words and things that not necessarily are like a benefit in the consumer, right? So if I share the feature of a product, I write so that you can, and that's the benefit to them. That's what they're there for, right?
Yeah.
So if I said to a conversation, here's the same conversation 2 different ways. I want to ask you a few questions so I'm prepared for our appointment. Okay. Then I could say, Amy, I would appreciate if you could take the time to answer, or would it be okay if you had a few minutes to answer some really important questions so that we could solely focus our conversation on the things that are most important to you? Now, do you think somebody's going to respond to that differently? 100%. Can you please take 15 to 20 minutes to review the information in the link below? It's an interactive portal with details on every home that's sold, the homes that are in contract, and the homes that are on the market that are similar to yours based on our original conversation. The goal of reviewing this is when we meet, we could have a productive conversation how to effectively position your home on the market to maximize your equity. Isn't that different than review these comps or check these things out, or here's the view of the market?
Mm-hmm. Is that script in our
The
portal?
script we can pull from the Otter Notes. So I made that script today. It's just a human way I have of talking about things.
No, it's
But the
perfect.
good news is for all of us here is you'll see in the next, I would say, 3 weeks, the quality of our Zooms, the way we're able to do things, the way we're able to capture things after. When we'll have an event, I would say sometime in March, where we'll invite all the people from Revenue Roadmap to our office for an evening happy hour and the next day mastermind. We now have like movie like spotlights and 3 cameras set up in there, so we could stream it. We'll have switchers. And so you'll all be able to come here. So our production value and the way that these things look will be better. The way we're able to give you the information is better. And Marsha, our team is working hard now in building a process where we can capture all of the information I have in terms of scripts, framings, emails, and all these things after the call. The challenge is, right, is the 28 of you that are here, minus the 28 of you are here want this information. If we took these kinds of notes for every session I did and sent them to everybody, everyone would hate us, right? It's too much information. So the challenge is figuring out streamlined processes so the people that showed up to the class get the stuff after. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And look, if you look at the industry, there's 2.1 million licensees. There's 28 of you here today doing this. There's 30,000+ agents at Compass. There's 28 of you here doing this. Any of these things that we're talking about is a massive opportunity. All of the stuff you get here is very unique in the sense it's stuff that we made, that I made, and our team made from scratch. It's not the same stuff you see everywhere else. So as you use this in your marketplace, you'll continue to win. There is no tool, there's no anything that doesn't have a process or a system or a word on the way to use it. But what it comes down to is figuring out where these things fit into your business and then practicing them till you master it. So let's see, who here has a son? Perfect. Who here has a son that played a sport? Who here has a son that played a sport that's actually really good at it? Amy,
Yes.
what sport did your son play?
Tennis.
Perfect. Now imagine if your son played tennis, right? And they were asking him all at the same time to learn his forehand, his backhand, and his overhead slam, as well as how to volley. Do you think he would ever learn anything really well?
Not without practice.
But even with practicing 4 things at once, like what is the basic thing when he started tennis?
Oh, okay. The forehand, the stroke. Yeah, the simple stroke, the fundamentals.
Exactly. And the fundamentals in real estate, people think they have to major, they have to master the majors, when you really have to master the minors because they really are the majors, right? So if you think about it, in real estate, the most fundamental thing you need to do is learn how to talk to people. That's it. I should not be able to, like, I haven't sold real estate in years, right? I don't know anything about the Westport market. I can tell you I live here and I know a few of you are from the area. I know how to get to my office. I know how to get to the beach. I know how to get to the Equinox gym. And I know how to get to like where downtown is where you could go shopping, everything. And maybe one other place I can't think of. I know how to get to 5 places here. I know that's just anywhere I live, I'll be like that. There is no reason in the world that I should be able to go on a listing appointment against any one of you and have even a chance. But I have more than a chance because I could go through the same process of learning what's important to somebody. Based on that conversation, sending them information with the context that's beneficial to them. Regurgitate that information, have a very productive home tour that's different than everyone else, present a written marketing plan and a written communication plan, and discuss positioning where they're owning the conversation and realizing what's best for them organically. Because in the end, they're going to say, Chirag, you might not have sold real estate in a while, but you know what? I just feel that you're the right agent for me. And that's all done through the words we use and the experience we create. Collections is another tool to create a great client experience before you walk in the door, right? And the other thing that you really want to highlight is that discussions tab. The discussions tab is one of the most important client communication tabs. So if you're looking at buyers, whatever you ever have a buyer where you have like this thing, like, we want a colonial home, no bedrooms on the first floor. Then they tell you, fine, we can't find a house, we'll be open to a first floor master. Then 3 weeks go by and then they're pissed off at you for sending first floor master bedrooms, right? You ever have that experience? Like they have amnesia, right? So here's what happens. I'm a buyer working with Katie, and I would say, you know what, Katie, you made this update and everything. I'd send a relink to the, I've gone and updated the collections with first floor bedrooms. If you click the discussion tab, you'll see the date as well as the substantial changes you requested for your home search. Just remember, discussions is a place where we document any big changes, right? So if at any point your home criteria changes, what we agree upon will be reflected in the discussion tab. And at any time, if that changes, please let me know so I can update it. So now, Katie, when your buyer's pissed off at you, like, why are you sending me this stuff? Like, hey, hold on. I'm confused. I'm like, why are you confused? Like, hey, look, I'm looking at the discussion tab. We never agreed to change anything. So if something's changed, let me know. I'm happy to update it. They're like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Same thing with sellers, right? Like there are material things that you can update on there based on changes in the market, things they want to look at, right? Like 3 homes went into contract that were updated over the last week. Well, a new home came on the market that is updated, that is $50,000 less. It will impact the value of your home. 123 Main Street, check it out. There's different ways to go about using this, but if you start thinking through how are these tools mechanisms for communication and client experience? So is this a different twist on something that people generally look at very simply? I believe it is. Everyone has access to the same tools. Just some people know how to use them and talk about them better than others. Everyone has access to the same 24 hours in a day. Some people just know how to be more focused and productive than others. Same thing. I've never used collections discussion tab. Check it out.
I never knew it was there. No one ever told me about it.
Right there.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at it now.
Yep, Amy uses it. So look, there's a lot of things. I know these tools arguably better than anyone that exists at Compass. And when Rory did his tech demo, as much as him and I've done trainings together, I've made trainings from, I watched it, right? I had no idea, and many of our clients had no idea that when you're using tours and you've highlighted a time and that you have to contact an agent, you hit an email and it literally pre-fills the email out with AI down to the request time. Like, I'd love to see this property at 9 a.m. Just click a button and the whole thing's written for you, right? I was like, wow, you guys have done an amazing job marketing this to people. This saves people hours of time. So think about it. So the takeaway, and it's connected to showing time. In some markets, it's not anymore. So that's a touchy subject. So look, in the couple minutes we have left, everyone should write down one action item that they want to take based on this call. And B, I call it the rule of 72, is within 72 hours, if you don't implement what you learned or you don't put it in your calendar, it's never going to happen. So you'll want to put in your note collections for comps as in the calendar, right? Like that's what the thing is. And in the notes section, while you're present to what you want to do, you want to write down, like go through the collection, try it out, whatever it is, the action you want to take that you're inspired in this moment while you're thinking. Because if not, people go back and look at these calendar invites or these time blocks and they're like, hold on, what was I supposed to do with collections? What was I going to do with comps? God, what did he say in that session? What was it? What did I? All right, forget it. I'm done. And they just leave. But a lot of this is understanding how to think through things differently. All of you need to go to Wendy's time blocking session tomorrow. It's amazing. I saw her deck today. The majority of her team is actually here in person in our office this week, and we're working together on big thing, client experience, right? So look, obsess over your clients, obsess over the opportunity that these tools can create, simplify using them, and understand how to communicate with people effectively so everything is in the benefit of your clients. If there's not a benefit to them doing it, they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions before we end for the day?
I don't think so.
Lena found it.
Great stuff.
You're welcome. I figure I'd give you all a change of pace today. So as always, with love in my heart, I love you all. Make sure to attend, I believe, Wendy's session. I think it's tomorrow or Thursday. So it's tomorrow.
11:30 tomorrow.
Yeah, do not miss it. I'm going to be tuning
Time
in.
management, getting everything done, that one?
Uh-huh.
Okay, 11:30 tomorrow.
It is the biggest opportunity that every person has in their business right now, is understanding how to get the most out of their day.
Cool.
All right, everybody. I will see you soon. Bye.